Do you feel like your life has a calling? Perhaps you'd like to turn this calling into a business, but you don't know the first steps to take or how to monetize it. Well, I'm here with author and coach Michelle Barr, who's going to help us put it all together. Michelle, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So you have a unique niche in that you help people who want to help others.
Yes, I do. I work with all the helpers and healers who have gifts and they don't know how to monetize them.
What do you think the biggest challenge is for people in this genre?
It's really that they start with a calling and they don't necessarily start with wanting to run a business. So they're out there doing what they love, but they're not making money at it. So a lot of times they're doing work they don't love and then they're exhausted and they're broke.
So helpers and healers, who falls into that category?
All the acupuncturists, massage therapists, chiropractors, coaches, yoga teachers, mental health therapists, a lot of those kind of people that are out doing work in the world that helps people.
So why do you think it's such a challenge for people in these professions to let people know what they're doing and to attract more clients and to grow their business?
I know from my own personal experience, I was really motivated and driven to get out there and be helping people. So we tend to be overgivers. We tend to undercharge or not charge at all. And we're just really out there trying to make a difference in the world. And we have big hearts, but we don't always understand business. And we also have a lot of issues with money and charging for spiritual gifts and for healing. So really, it's that not knowing how to do it, but knowing we have this gift we want to get out into the world.
I know a lot of people in these industries, and one of the things that I think the activities that they take is the trade. You know, I'll help you if you help me, and they don't really charge any money for their services. Where does that leave people in their business?
Yes, I talk a lot about that. I tell people do not barter your brilliance because there's a lot of trading going on. And I got offered that a lot when I first started business. But I had business expenses, a mortgage to pay, bills to pay, and how many of those kind of gifts can you use every week? And it undervalues. It's not an even exchange, and then people still can't stay in business.
Yeah, I think that trades are really, like you said, just it's a challenge for them to be equal.
It is, and really it's a way to not stand in your power and your confidence and to not ask for what you're worth. And that's what a lot of people going into this kind of business have issues with, is not standing in their value and worth. So trades is like a safe way for them to do that.
So if you're doing trades right now, it's a warning sign.
Stop. Yes, it's one of the first things I tell people to stop. I actually, in the early days, would sometimes what would be considered a trade with someone I know, and we would write each other a check because you've got to get used to paying and accepting payment.
So let's talk about people who want to help other people. So let's say you've decided that your life has to have more meaning, that you suddenly find that you have a gift of healing or a gift of intuition. What's the first step to take that from just an awareness within you to start being able to offer that to other people?
It's really coming to a decision with yourself, and I had come to this crossroads. First of all, that I'm going to do this as a business. I no longer want to have to do work I don't love. Then I need to learn how to do it as a business. I need to learn how to package it and price it and what I have to offer. And then I need to get out there with my message and start making offers and start getting out there and letting people know what I'm about. And that's a tricky one too, is people learning how to language this so that people understand it. So how to sell that transformation that you offer.
You know, I think that is such a challenge, because when I had a health and wellness center for a while, and I had 20 different practitioners who were all practicing there, and I used to ask individuals, well, what do you do? And it was really a challenge to just even get that elevator speech out.
It is. It's a big challenge because it's such a natural gift a lot of times. And I went through that too, of how do I explain to people what I do? And one of the first mistakes I see people making a lot is they're selling their minutes and they're selling modalities and processes. And people don't pay for that. And they don't understand that. And then they don't understand why they don't have a profitable business. So it's learning to message is one of the most important parts.
I think that people want to work with helpers and healers who can help them achieve a vision or feel better or have an awareness of something that maybe would be hidden to them. So they want to have that outcome or have that problem solved. Is that part of the messaging that's really critical?
It really is. We talk about what are people waking up in the middle of the night and saying, if I could solve this, things would be better. What are they crying out for? And then every industry has its own jargon and lingo. We have to learn how to speak to them in what they're asking for so that they understand we have the solution to their problem.
So this group, the helpers and the healers, there has been an emerging trend, if you will, of more and more people seeking these types of services. What kind of growth have you seen in this market?
It really has been the past few years. We all know that in the past, we used a lot of these alternative and complementary solutions before doctors and psychiatrists. So now there's been a reemergence of people realizing this whole concept of creating a better life, creating a lifestyle business, feeling better, all of these things. So I have seen this whole life coaching really coming into the marketplace more and more. When coaching started, it was much more in the realm of corporate, of executive and leadership coaching. And in the past few years, this is really being recognized. It's come into the mainstream now, even more than when I first started. So you're seeing it in all the major news media now. And people are starting to say, what is a life coach and why would I need one?
So what about the role of intuition? I mean, we all have a sense about ourselves and sometimes a sense about other people as well. What is the role of intuition in creating these businesses and opportunities for ourselves?
I think that calling starts intuitively, and that's why it seems to be a challenge for some of these people to fully step in and make those business decisions or even understand that, because they're just getting a sense of, I'm here, I have this message, and getting it out into the world. And intuition, developing your intuition, using your intuition in business and integrating all of that is really part of what people are really coming into the marketplace looking for. And there are all these people with those gifts, but they don't know how to bring them into the marketplace.
Yeah, it feels like there's different camps. So there's the New Age camp that's been around for a long time. You know, that's all the astrology and the metaphysical things. And then yet there's this new other camp where we're acknowledging that there's a world of energy, that there's alternative healing, that intuition isn't just psychic readings. It's a tool to guide us to awakening our consciousness. What kind of languaging are you seeing is really valuable today for these types of individuals who want to put themselves out there?
We saw a lot of people describing it as heart-centered and then conscious business, because you're right. It started with, and I have a lot of clients that are astrologists, tarot card readers, psychics, mediums, but then that alternative healing and the wellness started really coming into that as well. So it really is about this conscious business, this idea that we're bringing something that we're really passionate about, that we want to make an impact in the world while we're also doing business.
So how do you define yourself personally, conscious business?
I really define it as your business starts as a calling and then you learn to turn it into a profitable business. And all the time that I'm doing business, I want success, but I want significance and success at the same time. And I think a lot of people, I find people coming to me that have lost the significance in their work because it's gotten so disconnected from their passion and their mission and vision and their dreams. So conscious business is merging those back together so you actually love what you're doing.
One of the aspects that I think is really fun about the work that you do is that, you know, when you're growing up and you're in your household, usually the career paths are, okay, I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, a veterinarian, a banker, mainstream things. You know, you're
Yes.
not growing up at home and saying, I'm going to be an intuitive or I'm going to be an energy healer. You know, those were not
No.
really career paths that were established in our traditional homes. But yet there are hundreds, even thousands of people who are making a career shift. My husband, for example, went from being a lender to a shaman. So, you know, we can have these changes, but they don't come from anything we've ever known in our early years.
It's very true, and you bring that up. In the past year, I have had 4 lawyers as clients to where I was paying attention. What is it about this that they're wanting to come out of the way that business is done, but they're still using those gifts? But they were missing, how do I bring myself in? It's that bringing your authentic self back into it.
I think that also one of the things that comes up for people who are helpers and healers is, do I have the right credentials? You know, I didn't go to school for this. Do I have the sheepskin? What would your answer be to that reservation?
I get asked about that a lot. And so again, in the past, traditionally, there are a lot of coaching certifications, and those continue to spring up. And yet really there are gifts inside of you. And I definitely believe invest in yourself and invest in yourself continuously with coaches, mentors, and teachers. What I have found that's most important is until you own that inside of you, people have never asked me for my pieces of paper and credentials, or my clients either. And sometimes people get those pieces of paper and then they still don't know how to translate that into a business. So it is really, it goes back to that value and worth. And then do get training, teaching, find a coach who's doing what you want to do and being how you want to be in the marketplace, and invest in that.
One of the well-known women in spiritual teaching is Barbara DeAngelis, and she talks about vibrational credibility, just what you're talking about, that our vibration, when we're in alignment, we send out this energy that makes us credible. How important do you think it is to be in alignment like that?
I believe it is very much. I love that, what you're sharing, because I have found, and I teach in my spiritual business school and with my clients, all about energy and that vibration, because it's so important what energy I'm carrying. My clients are all intuitive, they're feelers, they're empathic. So even more than mainstream, they are going to feel how I'm showing up. And I will tell you, when I get off with my energy and my mindset, my phone stops ringing. And I had mentors who've said, your phone stops ringing, you have to go back and figure out what's going on and get yourself back together. So it's really the energy that I bring to the marketplace.
That's a fascinating idea to consider, that when we're in alignment and our energy is great, that things will just flow to you, clients, opportunities, business directions, so that you actually can just be in a single place meditating and manifesting at the same time.
And it's twofold, because I love that, and that's what a lot of people are looking for, to still use those spiritual practices. So I talk about business practices and spiritual practices, because I take that time, but I've opened up channels on the internet and out in the world. And then I do get where people say, I don't know how I found you. I just all of a sudden was clicking and I found you. So it is about the being after you've opened those channels. So I have marketing strategies, proven strategies, and I'm out there everywhere. And my valuable content is out there everywhere so people can find me. Then it's about me being.
So let's say there's an individual who lives in a particular city. So you're in Chicago, you want to have a healing or wellness practice. What are 3 things you can do to get yourself noticed?
First is deciding you're going to run a business instead of a hobby. And then learning how to package and price that, how to put together offers, and really start making some solid business decisions, working on your messaging, and then get yourself out there and start practicing. You will only get that feedback that's the most valuable by getting out there. One of the things I tell people right away and get my clients into is be in business now. We see a lot of, I'm waiting, I'm getting ready to, when I get it ready, and someone is already interested and they're saying, oh, I'm putting together a program and in the future. And so it's really be in business now, have something you can offer, because what they don't realize a lot of times is there's already somebody out there that just wants to get from where they are to where you are. And that's where you serve and then you grow. It's a very organic way of doing business.
I know that when I wrote my book, Mystic in a Minivan, and I was wanting to get that out there and I was doing some intuitive work, at first, you're a little worried because you're like, what is everyone else going to think about me? Is that something that you find with a lot of people you work with?
I do. Visibility. There's a lot of hiding, and even people who will come to me and tell me, I have a website up, and I go to their website and they're nowhere around. They're hiding behind their website. It is scary. When I first started really in this business, I still had children at home, and you have families, and then you have neighbors and coworkers and all of that. So there is that really owning it. It is the most integrated way to step out in the marketplace because I share my life, my life's journey, and my business. They're not separate anymore, but that's what makes it the most rewarding.
Do you think that there are still a lot of societal judgments around being intuitive, being spiritual, being an energy healer? What do you think that people today who want to bring that out there are going to face?
There are, and I think some of it is in our mind. Some of the people that I thought wouldn't be open to it, they are. Even energy medicine is kind of really catching on now. A lot of people have heard about Reiki and what is that, and they're incorporating that more, even in with massage and acupuncture and chiropractic and all of that. So there's still some misconceptions, and there are a lot of societal issues about charging for spiritual gifts. And we're still working through a lot of that. But also, I think people have a lot of fear stepping out. I know I had some when I first opened. I had a healing and wellness center in my local community. And I thought, nobody is going to accept this. And then so many people did.
And I think that people are looking for ways to connect to their spirit. They're looking for ways to feel better. We're not finding the answers that we're looking for in our conventional society. So we need other ways to dig deeper.
More people are looking for that. We have more technology. We're on more of the time. We don't have the stillness and the opportunity for that we used to. And people are looking for that significance again and that connecting. People have gotten so disconnected in their work, and they're over busy and they're overtired and all of that. And so you see people, I get a lot of people that are high paid and they're in jobs where people would think they're very successful, and yet they're miserable and they're sick and they're looking for something different.
Let's talk about just the business basics. So if you're a helper and a healer and you want to get out there, what do you need? Do you need a website? Do you need a book? Do you need a brochure? Just tell us like what that entrepreneur's package looks like.
It's a great question, because the first thing is to get social media profiles, which are free, and to get up a website, and a basic website, because especially for people doing this kind of work, people are going to come to you based on your message. So getting your valuable content and your message out there. It can be a simple website where you have something free to offer, what we call a free opt-in gift, and you just start getting your message out there. Then you can build and grow your website. So I say a basic website with something where people can connect and come into your world, and then you can consistently communicate with them and then invite and offer them.
You know, and I also think about this is that we all live in communities. So the easiest way to do this is just in the community that we live in. You know, we can have a meetup meeting or even get ourselves listed in some of those local directories like Yelp and Bing and all those other services like that as well.
I love that you bring that up, because I grew my business in the beginning with meetups, and I just made a big move and I started a meetup in my community right away. There are those ways, and the online strategies grow over time and they're very powerful, but the immediate ones are those offline strategies. I used to do presentations. I'd pick an afternoon, I'd get a space that was free or inexpensive, and I would do a presentation so people could get to know me, and I would make those connections. I would run meetups. I would collaborate, I would network. I also attend live events in my industry so that I can be meeting people face to face. And those are things you can do right away.
So what you're really talking about is setting the table for your own success. So people aren't going to come to your house and find you and say, excuse me, is there a helper or a healer here? You have to get out in the community, set the time, the date, the place, have a meeting, even if you don't think anyone's going to show up, because sometimes we have meetings and 2 people show up or 1 person shows up, but we have to put ourselves out there and create the opportunity to connect with other people.
I did that early on, and I had a few where not very many people showed up, but I kept at it because it grows exponentially. And going back to energy, I think some of it is that energy of you showing up and being it. First, people aren't sure, and then they go, wait, she's still around. Let me go see what she's doing.
I think in the world that we live in today, Michelle, it's important to create your own momentum.
It absolutely is. And once you build that foundation with those basics we were talking about, then you build a whole platform. So then you build workshops, retreats, book, live events, whatever you want to do, you build it off that platform. And it's that message you get out there so that people know how to refer you. That's the important piece in the beginning.
Michelle Barr, inspiring entrepreneurial coach. Thanks for sharing your insights today.
Thank you.